And we're back. Episode 8, and we're recording it nice and early in the week, so we've actually got time to get it up in time before it's Sunday, as we don't ruin everybody's Monday mornings this week.
Obviously, I'm a little bit quiet because I know what's coming in the first course, and I deserve every bit.
Right, so this evening's check, we have got, for the Moose Boosh, timekeeping. Starters as the classic lock-in, main course, the 90-10 rule, and then an email from Dave.
Right, let's get on with it.
No time like the present, as they say.
Give me the amuse bouche.
It's good that it'll be the second episode in a week that you owe people an apology, because the week before you owed an apology. Well, last week you owed an apology for slagging everybody off on the email, but you hadn't checked the junk email. And now this week you've let everybody down. But I was going to get a clip up for this, actually. I haven't found it. But there was a clip from Ricky Gervais Extras, which was Bunny, the gay dad, who was saying to his daughter, "You should never let down your public." And he makes he dresses her down in front of everybody. "Never let down my public. Never let down your public. Never let down my public." That's what you've done.
All right.
Let everybody down.
Just for the audience, I might just include that clip in the post-edit.
Find it, get it on there.
All right.
So timekeeping, timing's in the kitchen, obviously, is massively important. Timekeeping, turning up for work on time is important. I mean, you were late because you were editing this, and then you still didn't get up on time anyway. You started up for work late.
I was an hour late for work. I was staring at the time. I was like, I think it was 11 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, right, I've got 1 hour before I need to be at work. I've got to plow on more with this and get it done and done. And then I looked at the clock again. It was 12:15. I was like, oh, and there's missed calls. Oh, hour late for work. And the editing still hadn't been finished. So I'm already stressing, panicking.
Good. Well, that's it. You deserve it. The funny part about timekeeping, wasn't it? You know, it's the whole, you with timekeeping is always a problem at the best of times. What was that?
Mostly on time.
What was the wording, the nice new lettering on the side of your van there earlier?
Something in reliable.
Reliable, yeah.
Yeah. And the rain washed some of it off. Just as we put the new graphics on the van, the rain's washed some of the letters down. I was like, oh, this is just poetic justice, isn't it? This is an act of God.
Yeah. Man Who Sued God, good film. But yeah, then I was saying to you earlier about my brother's classic when he got to work, and you don't remember Ian Dawson, but he was a great guy. I say great guy.
We're not supposed to be doing names.
Well, you'll beep him out in a second. But,
all right. Okay.
He was great is a strong word. He's a character. But my brother was running usually late for work as per, and then he sort of got to work just a few minutes to spare, came howling into the car park, and this guy was still outside looking at his watch and getting very agitated.
Oh, the cheeks again.
Yeah. And he's, "Oh, you're late." And he's, "No, I'm not late. You're late." And he said, "I don't start for another 3 minutes." And he said, "Well, you're almost late." She's like, "Almost late? I mean, that's early. I'm quitting. That's happy days." But
almost late.
Yeah. But after we said, actually, I was thinking about timekeeping, and my best ever timekeeping that I did was the day of the 30th of July, 2001, because that's how old I am, was that I missed the 30th of July, 2001. The day didn't exist in my life. So set the scene. We'd gone for a night out in Truro, and then we'd gone up to Long Marsden Airfield to go to Global Gathering Festival. Had a wonderful time. It was a one-day festival back in those days. Danced all day and all night on the Sat. So we worked on the Friday, went out Friday night, drove up to Long Marsden Airfield, danced all day and all night on the Saturday, drove back to home on the Sunday morning, got home Sunday mid-afternoon. Then it was a gig on the Green Festival, which was L2's little mini festival in Malpas Park.
These are names I haven't heard for ages.
I know, it's a long while back, but so we get into it's now approaching, it's late on the Sunday evening, it's like 10, 11 o'clock Sunday evening, I'm absolutely done in. I've done all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, been out 3 nights on the bounce, haven't been drinking any of it. I've driven to bloody Stratford upon Avon and back and not gone to bed for 3 days. So I am done in. Go to bed, happy days. And then this is pre-mobile phones being the way you wake up. So I used to have the alarm set on my stereo, but the house phone rang, and it was always the thing, if the house phone rings, I'm in the shit, because that means I'm late for work. So the house phone rings at my parents' house. They're obviously out of work. The house phone's ringing. Oh, shit. So I jump out of bed, run down the stairs, answer the phone.
Panicking.
There's me, young me, head chef's on the phone. Darren, you're late. What? You're late? No, I'm off today. You're not off your day, you're late. I was like, get in now. I was like, oh, okay. So you hang up the phone. Yeah, okay, so you get ready for work, you go to work. Got there and I was like, well, yes, if it is, we're supposed to start at 9, it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. I was like, yeah, okay, fine, it is 10 o'clock in the morning, I get it, I'm late, but I definitely booked today off. And they're like, you didn't. I said, I did. Head down for a bit. Spoke to her chef, said, look, I did book today off. You didn't book today off, look. And then we go over to the old calendar, because it was obviously all done pen and paper back in those days. I'm like, look, I booked the day off. I was off Saturday, Sunday, and I booked the Monday off. And they're like, it's Tuesday. What do you mean it's Tuesday?
It's Tuesday.
I was like, what do you mean it's Tuesday? Like, it's Tuesday. No, and because, I mean, it sounds like a mental thing to say now, because in today's society, you'd look at your mobile and go, oh, it's clearly not. It says on my phone. But this is 20 odd years ago. Well, obviously it's not Tuesday, it's Monday. I went to bed last night, it was Sunday, it's now Monday. They're like, no, it's Tuesday. And I must have gone up to go for a piss in the night, or whatever, and my parents must have poked me or prodded me to make sure I was still alive. But I'd basically gone to bed Sunday night, missed Monday, and I woke up late for work on the Tuesday. So I was so confused. And the whole day, people were like bringing me newspapers and stuff, and I could not fathom that was what happened.
Did you sleep? Did you sleep at all during the Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
No.
Your body was just... Oh, by the way, just for the audience, Darren has never taken drugs in his life, so it can't be that. You just must have danced.
I wasn't drinking.
You must have danced yourself into exhaustion.
Yeah, I was pretty done in, but it was it was an interesting experience. Getting a bollock of being late. I was like, I booked the day off now, haven't it? It's Tuesday. It took me a long time to get my head around that.
I was just going to say, your brain's just all over the place.
Yeah, but talking of timekeeping, that was only supposed to be in a moose boost, and now it's got a 2-hour ramble, so...
Well, I have to apologise, and I am sorry, guys. It wasn't done on the Sunday. It definitely will this time.
Oh, I'm going to find a way to trip you up before then.
Oh, you're going to cut the power on the house. You'd go to such levels.
Just to win a brownie point. Yeah. And the starter. And incidentally, before we go to the starter, you admitted before we started recording tonight that I was right, which is always nice.
What do you mean you're right? Right about what?
That you were saying about the amuse bouche starter main dessert.
Yeah, I was wrong. When you first proposed this courses for as the setup for this, amuse bouche starter and all that, I thought that's not going to work. That sounds silly. It's probably because I've never ever done before. So, all right, I like it.
Thanks. So the starter is the classic lock-in, which isn't what people are thinking with the classic lock-in, because the classic lock-in that you might think of is the pub shuts at 11 and they close the door and you have a few beers. But this classic lock-in is one that Scott experienced the other day. So over to you.
Why do we have to tell them?
Well, you don't need to say what you were doing. I mean, the act doesn't necessarily get... I can tell them if you want, but it'd be more embarrassing if I tell it.
No, because you'll add stuff.
Of course.
You'll add stuff. All right. So... Well, how do I set the scene? All right, so I was on the pastry section. Adi was doing my head in. I was like, maybe I should just. Oh, I've said names. Oh, I'm gonna leave his name in. So
he doesn't count as you.
I fancy going off for a slack. Scroll on the phone. Toilet break. Job done. Go in the toilet. Shut the door. And these toilet doors are a bit done in for the staff. I mean, the locks are hanging off, and for some weird reason, maintenance just seem to push them on. They never re-screw them or put new locks on for some obscure reason. So they're always hanging off or falling on the floor. Well, I got in then, and the lock on this door is a separate one with a little bar that you pull across, but with that little knob on the end of it, that in the center of it. But that had fallen off. So I thought, I don't want to go back in. So, I'm committed now to my slack. So I thought I would just use my finger to push the bar from the right and then straight into the lock. And then for some reason, I had no idea why, I kept going. So now it's like right in there, and I didn't think nothing of it.
And it's quite tight, that lock on that door as well, isn't it?
It's really tight. So then, do my usual scroll. I thought, I'll go back in a minute because I'm going to hear the shouting. And then I couldn't get out. I was like, oh, no. I couldn't get my finger in anywhere to pull the bar back out. So then I was looking for the little nugget on the floor to to screw back in so I could actually pull it. And I couldn't find that anywhere. I was like, oh my God, I'm locked in the toilet and I'm really in the shit. So then I thought, all right, okay, don't panic. All right, I'll just try and wedge my nail into the hole. No, that doesn't work. And I just gave up then. So I just started bashing on the door.
That's not what I heard.
What did you hear?
I heard that you rang the hotel reception.
Well, hang on, I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Oh, God, you're so impatient. This is a starter.
Sorry, yeah, carry on.
So then, so I started banging on the door because we're right next to staff room. No one's coming. And then I hear the kitchen door go into the office. And I thought, that's him. So I was banging as hard as I can on this door. And I felt an absolute pillock. So to be fair, I deserved the shame. Nothing. And then the maintenance guy eventually comes in, who was in the toilet next door, and then says, oh, you can't get out, can you? And I'm like, I just started yelling at him because I was like, of course I can't get out because you won't fix the door. So then he decides to leave because I've shouted at him, and I'm like, I should have done that after. So then I thought, sod it. If I just break the lock, they'll have to fix it. So I wrenched the door off, bent the whole thing round, and then got out. And then AD gave me shit. And then I told him no.
When did you find the receptionist in all of this?
Oh, I just remembered that. Yeah. I emailed the...
You emailed them?
I emailed reception. That was at the part where I didn't know what to do. I couldn't get out. So I emailed reception because no one would answer the phone. So I emailed the reception and said, look, I'm stuck in the toilet. I can't remember what subject I put. The story's a bit back to front, but you'll follow it. I didn't know what subject to put. So I just put toilet, locked in, help.
Good.
On the subject matter. And then they're not exactly the quickest. By the time I got out, got bollocking from me, then told him the story and he pissed himself laughing, the reception finally came through. Oh, you're a bit late, aren't you? That was embarrassing. But so, to be fair, in all honesty, slacking off, I had my comeuppance. And I didn't tell AD that at the time. I just told him I needed the toilet, but he's about to find that out when he listens to this.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, that was a few days ago now, and the lock is still in pieces on the floor. So if you do use that toilet now, you just...
6 maintenance guys and not one have fixed it. They all use that toilet. Unbelievable.
Talking of the slacking, actually, when last summer while we were working, AD went to go to the toilet, and he opened the toilet door, and... you know what it was like, the place we were at, there was an absolute abundance of toilets. You could have had one for every single guest in the hotel 20 times over and you wouldn't have run out. Anyway, he goes walking into one of the staff toilets and there's the KP just sat there, fully trousers up, just sat on the bog, just playing on his phone. He was like, what are you doing? He's like, just sat here with you fully dressed, just sitting on the toilet playing on your phone. It's like, can you do something else?
Oh, do you remember I'll say the name, but I'll bleep it.
Yeah.
Remember the back toilet?
Yeah.
Which is by the back door there. Olive, when she was down there, chefing, she obviously just went out, fancied a slack. She sat on the toilet on top of the lid, she said, and then she was just scrolling on her phone, but she forgot to lock it. So, of course, the sous chef there went looking for, where the hell is she? Opened the door. Scared the hell out of her, and apparently he just pissed himself laughing as he caught her in the act. He goes, there's no point in shouting at her, she knows she's screwed up here, but he's just like sat on the toilet scrolling on her phone. Oh.
Did you know that in that very same toilet that on the above the roof tiles, which there was just a small gap, so as you looked at the door, above the door there was a small gap between the ceiling of the toilet and the roof tiles of the bit outside it.
Yeah.
That the KPs used to hide magazines up there of the gentlemanly nature.
You're joking? They put porn mags up there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. Lovely.
Oh, that is rank.
But anyway, the reason that the lock-in thing was that I then got a message of a screenshot from a friend who, in a management group chat for a restaurant, it says, can anybody cover my shift, usual stuff. And then, like, they apparently all went home about 10 o'clock at night. Like, it wasn't particularly late night. And then one of the waitresses then messages the group chat about quarter midnight, something like that, saying, is there a way to get out of the walk-in fridge? I'm locked in. And then you've got the supervisor saying, are you okay? No response. Manager messages, please tell me you're not locked in the walk-in fridge. No response, no response. So I've yet to hear actually the result of whether this person's been found. Hopefully they have. There was a chef, was it last year or the year before? Somebody over at Perranporth. He was about our age, and he was found dead in the walk-in.
Dead.
Dead. He went in the walk-in fridge. I don't think he locked himself in the walk-in fridge, but he went in the walk-in fridge, heart attack, bang, dead.
Oh my God.
I don't know if he was locked in.
Did he die in the raw meat section? Sorry, that's cold. I couldn't help it. It was all. Yeah.
EHO wouldn't approve, would they?
No.
But yeah, so it's interesting.
Somebody label him. No, it's really cold.
We'll skip that.
No, I don't mean cold. I mean,
if it was overnight, I suppose.
I'm sure you'd find it funny.
Yeah. But they did the lock-in, because obviously there was your lock-in in the toilet, there was the lock-in there, but your lock-in when you were being a postman, I think you should share with the audience.
No, Darren.
No, because it was hilarious. It's so good.
All right. So I was up in Nottingham. I went looking for Robin Hood and, the forest and all that, and all I found was a crime-ridden dump. And then 3 months up there, I got caught in lockdown. So then we got locked down for the China virus and COVID. COVID. Got locked down for that. And then the first lockdown, I couldn't get any work. And I was like, I'm just going out of my mind here. And I worked for the Masons up there. Oh, yeah, we've talked about them before. Their accounts must have been dodgy because they didn't give anyone, what do they call it, handout again? Furlough. I didn't get that. So I was like, shit, I need work. Couldn't find any work. I even applied for binman. I was just like, I will do anything. Couldn't get it. Apparently the council were inundated with people looking for work. So there must have been people in a lot worse situations than me. But then the second lockdown, I managed to get on the postal thing. And the reason I didn't go on the post to begin with is because it only said contract 20 hours. I thought, I need more than 20 hours. Apparently that's the minimum. It's what the unions were doing. So I went out on the postal rounds. They sent me to every dump that no one else wanted to do. I never heard of St. Anne's. Apparently it's a knife capital of Britain at one point. I thought, oh, God. And there were some creatures down there. Well, anyway, the problem is you weren't allowed in anywhere. You couldn't go in the pubs to go to the toilet. You couldn't go in the restaurant. There was nothing open. So you would go on these rounds and you were about 45 minutes away from the depot. You couldn't exactly go back and come, because everyone was ordering online. You were inundated with tons of stuff. You couldn't get it all done. And if you didn't get it all done, you got a bollocking. And people were just getting fired and replaced. And if you weren't a union member with a union membership, you weren't protected. So I went out and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even ask. They just give you a van and send you out and you figure it out by yourself. No one trains you because no one could come in the van with you. I didn't ask the most obvious question. Where do you piss? Or even worse, the other. So I ended up, I can't remember where I was, but I ended up so far away from the depot, walking through this estate, but there's tower blocks everywhere. And I was like, where do I pee? Because there's nowhere open. There's no toilet. There's no public toilets here. There's nowhere. And there's no grassy bits other than the bits with the fences and the swings on there, the stereotype that you can imagine. And I was like, there's no one out and around. I don't know where to pee. I don't know what to do. And then I started to panic because I thought, I'm not going to make it back to base. So I had a Costa cup, which I actually did find out that it was you're not supposed to drink anything while you're out because you do need to pee. I went in the back of the van. I had to put in, there's tons of parcels in there. Now, bear in mind, you may think this is dirty, but what would you do in that situation? You can't exactly lie down on a drain grill on the floor, can you? What do you do? So,
I suppose being the fact it was locked down, there weren't any public.
No, it was all locked. It was all it was all shut off. No one's allowed in them. The main toilets were locked. They had the grills over the door. And if one of the postmen got caught by the police urinating against a wall or something like that down an alleyway and got charged for it, even though he's like, what do I do? And they're like, well, you can't urinate in public, which is fair enough. I mean, it's grim. But so I went in the back of the van, shut it behind me, did what I had to do. I'm sorry this is going to get really, but just imagine the terror I'm going through at the moment. I'm new to the job. I'm panicking. I'm shaking a bit because what if somebody opens this door to catch me in the act? A couple of the parcels may have had a spray. In fact, I'm absolutely certain of it. I'm so ashamed. But yeah, so I did that. That's fine. Put the cup to one side. I'll figure out a bin, whatever. But then I went to get out, but I didn't know how to get out because you know, you've got that latch on the inside of the door. It's like a plastic black spike, isn't it? And you just push it to one side. Well, that had snapped off. So there was nothing there. There was no little hook or anything. It was just, so I was just like, oh my God, I'm locked in the van. There's no access to the driver's seat because that's gridded off. So I went to the side door. I just I was panicking there because I was stuck in a van. I've got no reason to be stuck in a van. So then I tried to go to the side door because you get that side door that opens up from the side. Yeah. I went into there and I thought, I was trying to register, that snapped. How can I have the van with everything snapped? The only thing that wasn't snapping at that point but close to was me. So then I'm trying to, that had a metal spike, but it was so thin and against the door, I couldn't get my hands in there. So then I managed to pry it with, but as I had done that, I'd kicked the cup. So that was now running out the back of the underside of the back door. So now I'm fucking angry. Fuck this job. I managed to get my fingernails in and then get the side door open and got out of there. And I must have looked red as a beetroot. The stuff coming out of the back of the van. I had the worst day of my life. I had the worst day of my life.
Thanks for resharing that.
I'm really sorry, but I've never fully opened up about that before.
No, it's fine.
And I know it sounds grim.
I can feel the emotion.
People are going to feel like I'm, what a dirty, but what would you do? What would you do in that situation?
Yeah, it's tricky. I'll give you that.
Yeah, so that's that. I forgot that out of my mind. Oh my God. I feel like confessions box in here.
Well, instantly, it has reminded me because you're talking about your knife crime capital of the world, of the UK, whatever, was that was something I wanted to discuss as the main course. So I might have to be that really annoying guy that's already ordered my meal, had a plan for a main course, and then
you're going to change your order
after the starter's already gone and you've started cooking the main course. That then the guy on table 12 goes, "Sorry to be that guy. Can I just change my main course order, please?" Well, only because hear me out. There was that thing the other day which I'll have a quick look at in a second, but the knife crime thing that we discussed.
All right.
So I'm going to change the main course order, and we're going to do that.
Is it main course away?
Yeah, we'll do that. And give me 2 seconds, and I'll figure it out, and then we'll be right back on with it.
Well, this 2 seconds is going to be instantaneous for them because I'll cut it.
Excellent. They will never know.
All right.
Lovely.
CheckON. Main course.
Main course. Updated main course. So apologies for the 90-10. We'll do that next time. So this popped up the other day. So it was a conversation between Idris Elba and Hugh Fearnley-Whittinstall. Basically, Idris Elba's got a thing about knife crime. He's obviously got a thing. Everyone's got a thing about it, but he's
an actor.
He's an actor, but he's campaigning against knife crime and all the problems that we have in this country with knife crime. And he's reached out to Hugh Fearnley-Whittinstall, who's obviously a very well-regarded chef and all the rest of it, and public figure, and likes to take action on things, whether it be fishing or whatever. And it was an interesting conversation because it was about, do chefs need the tip on their knife in general? Because of all knife crimes, like its highest way of young people dying in this country is through knives, and then the highest proportion of knives used in knife crime is kitchen knives. So they were saying, obviously, the traditional design of a knife is that it's got a tip on the end of it, and you use it to cut things, whatever. But if it were to save lots of if it would save lots of lives, if you had blunt-ended knives.
Oh, I say, remove the point, so we only use the blade part.
Because the blade doesn't do as big a damage.
No, you can slash the skin, but you can't stab people with it if it was curved.
Yeah, you're not stabbing so much. So, if you took like a Japanese-style knife that's got like a rounded end, a santoku, something like that, that's not got a sharp point on it.
Can you seem butcher with that?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the problem, and also not ironically, I suppose it's designed to do it, but the two knives I think that you would definitely need to have a point on would be the butcher's knife and a fish prep knife, because they are designed to stab into meat, which is obviously why they're good for that. So
I'm trying to run it through my brain when you come to actually either fish prep or meat prep as you're describing it, trying to see if I can do it the other way there.
Yeah, I think it's the Eden Project, possibly, but I worked with a chef years ago, and he said that it was a big place, and they said that they didn't allow, for health and safety reasons, they didn't allow pointed knives in the kitchen, which is obviously well ahead of its time for what we're discussing here now. But like they said, they had specific because obviously everything was bought in or whatever.
Yeah.
They had specific like bag opening blade things that were like almost like a pair of scissors, but they had closed plastic end around it, so you couldn't cut yourself with it. It was, if you had to open a bag of chips, you used this slicer thing that didn't have a pointy edge, so you couldn't injure yourself.
I suppose they're covering their asses on a court case.
Yep.
Or being sued. They're also covering their asses if they've got to employ, a load of tards.
Yeah.
Who can't use that. I didn't use the full word, so we're not getting cancelled.
Okay, fine.
What would you describe the word?
Idiots.
Idiots. That's great. Let's go with idiots.
Idiots, yeah. They can't use a knife, or can't use a knife safely. But so yeah, they have. To be honest, if in your day-to-day work in a kitchen, apart from doing meat prep, like if you were a pastry chef, you'd probably get away without having a pointed knife for the most part. And I suppose what you could do with, obviously it's a major issue. Like people go around stabbing each other. That's pretty messed up. But like, if chefs had to suffer, but it saved lives and stuff, and it became that there were far better regulations because you couldn't just, you can go into your local
knock-on effect.
You can go into Tesco's.
Is the greater good on it?
Yeah, you can go to Tesco's and buy a knife, can't you?
So what's next then? Baseball bats, because they'll be replaced with something.
Yeah,
if you're going to hurt someone, it's going to be replaced with another instrument.
You're going to sound like the bloody Americans in it.
I am.
We don't have much knife crime in America.
Yeah.
That's because you've got guns.
Yeah, people are going to hurt people, and that's it. And they're going to find ways to hurt people.
Yeah, but the hurting's different. It's the killing, is that because you got these kids, aren't you? And they're like, you're killing someone.
Right. I need a rant.
You're going to struggle to kill someone with a baseball bat. I mean, you can, obviously. But you're going to have to be a bit more cold-blooded, and you're going to have to you can't just go bish, bosh, bash.
Well, I'm going to be cold-blooded. I need a rant because this kind of thing winds me right up.
Right.
And as far as the criminal justice system, you see this arm, you see the hand, let's pretend that whole thing is a wing, okay? This is the right wing, and this is where I am on crime.
Right.
And the criminal justice system. There's the wing, and there's the bit that goes off the edge. That's me. Okay, I'm in this no man's land, taking a selfie outside Donald Trump's wall. That far right when it comes to the criminal justice system. This kind of stuff always happens. When there's an outbreak of this stuff, people just tiptoe around and say, "Oh, maybe we can just have a look at knives." No, we all know what the problem is. It's them. It's those people committing. The kids or the gangs or whatever. They'll listen to that same kind of music. They hardly come out and listen to 80s pop music, do they? We all know that what promotes that kind of gangster because it's cool. It's it's good to be a criminal. It's anti-establishment, I suppose, in some ways, in a way to outlast. If you put mandatory 40-year sentences on anyone carrying a knife on the street, you would stop that almost immediately. You would. Who's going to carry a knife? Go, do I want to spend 40 years in jail? You wouldn't. I would go so full blown with it. And your parents, or it's usually one, isn't it, can go straight to a concentration camp, hard labor, 5 years, if your son does this. So they got that on their conscience as well. You will stamp it out immediately. But instead of redoing the justice system and punishing people, we've got to feel sorry for them. It's not their fault, but it is. You can't just say, I'm poor, so I'm going to commit crime. Lots of poor people out there. Most people are poor, really, they don't all commit crime. There's no excuse. And most of the crime is up at the top anyway, in the banking system and all that. So that's bullshit.
Yeah.
They choose to commit crime because they're opportunists.
Yeah.
And people will always try and rip other people off in whatever way they want. 40-year sentences if you're carrying a knife. Police have the cameras, so it will be on tape. If you're caught and you're I don't know, pulled to one side and what do they do? Stop and search.
Frisk.
Yeah, frisky. So right, that's it. You got a samurai sword, or you've got a big cook's knife or whatever stuffed in your trousers. Off you go straight away. That's it. You would stamp it out immediately. But then I would have the death penalty for so many people. Well, I would take any of the most heinous crimes and just execute them immediately. You don't get second chances because your victim doesn't. No, so yeah, that's one way of doing it. And I just wanted to get that out of my system.
Yeah, fine.
For my fellow file writers out there that like a good hard criminal justice system, just stamp all that crap out because I've got no patience for it whatsoever.
I can see your point. In as much as why should
Why should everybody else
should the
have
chefs
to
have to
fucking
suffer
pick
to-
up the slack
Yeah.
just because these kids can't control themselves and their parents can't control them? And it's just it won't stop. There'll be another weapon. They won't ever stop trying to hurt people because they're just what is it? It's gang. It's postcode. I own this postcode. It's just absurd. It's the most brain dead
Turf
zombie.
wars.
Yeah, turf wars. I mean, it's the IQ of a grape.
Talking of which, the
Sorry, rant over. I had to get that out because it annoys me when I see on the the news presenters just go, how are we going to get around this? You know exactly how to get around this. I would put them straight in front of a firing squad and get rid of them. But yeah, right, fair enough.
the delivery came in today from Forest Produce, and I said to the driver, "Oh, what happened with you the other day?" There was a text came through from Forest saying, "Any deliveries in Cornwall, there's going to be a hold up, delay or whatever." Not that I gave two monkeys. So I was like, "Where were you the other day? There's bloody delay." And he said, "Oh, it's quite a funny story, actually." He said, "I was driving down the A30. He said, some guy in a Peugeot just crashed into the central reservation in front of me. He wasn't hurt." He said, so he crashed his car in the central reservation. He's now in the outside lane, unable to move the car. He said, so he's got sorted. He said, he's phoned the police. He said, yeah, I've crashed my car, whatever. So the police come along, they've closed the A30 to help him out. And he said, I was like one of the first people on the scene. He said, I was there in the van. He said, if it were me or you, he said, he'd have probably just gone, what? Which will make sense a second. You would have said, could you just give me a hand to just push the car to the hard shoulder and then we can, the traffic's already stopped at this point because everyone's realised there's a crash. So could you just help me move the car to the hard shoulder? But he didn't. He phoned the police. Anyway, Forest delivery man later gets home and said, I couldn't do most of my deliveries in Cornwall. They were very late, whatever, because of this whole crash situation. He said then later that same evening, he said, Cornwall Live, God bless it, had done a post about this guy, which turned out to be the same guy who crashed into the central reservation earlier that day, was then arrested for being drunk and in possession of many Class A drugs. So it's like, he's a drug dealer who's drunk, who's crashed into the central reservation.
Oh my God.
And then didn't even have the nous to think, I'll just get, if that, not that I'd be dealing drugs, but if you were drunk, whatever, you'd be like, you'd say to the guy, I'll tell you what, mate, if you just give me a hand, we'll just push the car off here and put it on the hard shoulder.
Get it out of there.
And then you lot can all get on with your day. You'd be the hero. Let them you lot crack on with your day. I'll get it sorted once you're gone. And then you run away or whatever. But he's phoned your bill. They've turned up.
God, they must have thought this was easy.
Somebody else who shall remain nameless who was in all this conversation was said about the fruit stands you get in the summertime where they're selling off cheap cherries and strawberries at the side of the road.
Oh, right.
Bags of Coke or whatever on the A30.
Is it?
Set up a little table and off you go.
I was wondering how they make their money.
Yeah, there we are. Anyway, yeah, knives. Yeah.
All right, so remove the point.
Well, how often do you use, you like the old pastry
Very
knives, the Victorinox round-ended pastry knives? Every chef loves those.
I love a pastry knife.
And like you got that, and you got the tomato knife, which again is another rounded-ended knife. But
then on the cook's knife, I don't use the point.
No, you don't. You only realistically use the point on a cook's knife to open a bag or open something.
Yeah, but then you could open it by slicing along.
Yeah,
it can be done.
Yeah,
it folds a bit, but
I suppose if you did do that, and we didn't, we didn't lock them all up or kill them all, the parents, you could do that. The only thing would be that you would have to then...
We didn't lock them all up and kill their parents. All right, I went a little bit far. Fair enough. But surely there's a mediation between a medium point.
But then I suppose your butchery is still going to... But then I suppose if you could say it is literally just a boning knife and a filleting knife, because, even a staking knife, for example, that the butcher uses, you don't need the point on that. Like, it's a bit handy, but it doesn't matter. It's a long, rounded, curved blade. But if you could say, okay, the only people that need a boning knife or a filleting knife, and you could just make them shorter, because if they were, I suppose that then, you haven't got to stab far in someone to cause a problem.
I can't believe we've got to work out the human anatomy.
Oh, no. Yeah.
All right, let's just say that it goes down the route of guns.
Yeah.
So guns in this country, if you've got a shotgun or whatever, your license for it has to be kept a certain way, but people can use it in special circumstances, farmers, whatever like that.
Yeah.
What if it ended up, and I'm assuming how they would plan this out, is that the butchers do all of that prep that we would do. So you would order in your meat already seen butchered and all that, but then their knives would be regulated at that and never leave that plant, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Would that they're signed in and out kind of thing?
Yeah. It's
that
got to
kind
help,
of regulation.
Yeah, it's got to help. Because, the current situation, like you do not need a point on every chef knife. And
But then you can make a knife. They would just make their own knives, wouldn't they?
oh, probably, yeah. But I suppose it's being seen to be doing something, isn't it?
I know how to be seen doing something. And good job I'm not in charge. It'd be North Korea here. Yeah, well, hang on a minute. They don't have massive knife crime in Saudi Arabia. Those guys would never put up with it.
No, they wouldn't. They'd just lock their heads off.
Yeah, they would never put up with it. So it doesn't happen.
No.
It's because our politicians here are just these wet liberal types who would just have they're just afraid to attack anything with any kind of ideology. So they just sit back and maybe we can just lighten things up a little bit by just making changes and some laws. It's just, oh, God.
But then that's the problem with anything, isn't it? It's a sliding scale. I mean, yes, you wouldn't get much knife crime in Saudi Arabia, but then you're probably not allowed to be gay. And if you're a woman, you're going to be locked up for the else. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, stoning
where do you draw the
people,
line?
I mean, that is horrendous.
Where do you draw the line on what is and isn't? Are you a furry? Can you run around and be a...
Problem is, I'm a reactionary. So when the law softens too much, people like me end up going to the capital punishment side. But really, there's a bit in the middle.
Yeah, a bit like Donald with his. We'll just give Russia half of your country, and then we'll all.
Why don't we just build a beautiful wall around London?
I'll give half of your country to Russia. Russia, you give me all of your natural resources. I'll be a hero. And
sending troops there. We may be sending troops there soon. So the big war's going to be coming then, I think.
Yeah, but he's not, is he?
Is he not?
No, he said there's nothing to do with America. No,
all right. So for some weird reason, we are.
The Europeans are going to send some troops in. Well, they were. I was listening to the Ukraine cast earlier, which is a BBC News podcast about Ukraine, and they were saying that hypothetically that because they have to have peacekeepers in there for this 1,000-mile long bloody border, and they were saying, well, potentially it could be India, Pakistan, and China who are the armies that go into it because they have no political agenda either way. But then it'll be a huge. Looking at it as a business model as opposed to a war and basically saying, well, if you pay these guys this, and the other, they'll do that. Then you can give me all your natural resources. Ukraine lose 20% of their country and...
Well, I'm told Russia has an economy smaller than Italy. It's made out to be one of the most dangerous countries on earth. And you can see they're still struggling with Ukraine. The only thing that people are scared of is his nuclear weapons. And if you surround him and go in and British troops start firing on Russian ones, he'll hit that button.
Well, exactly.
He ain't going to surrender. No. So, yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. So let's get in as many podcasts as we can before the electricity goes out.
Right, good.
All right. Anyway, I think we've gone everywhere. This was a hard one, this one.
Well, exactly. It was only supposed to be. I should have stuck with the 90-10, shouldn't I?
90-10.
We'll do that next week. Right, well, let's leave it at that and we'll move on to the dessert.
Dessert. CheckON. Right, let's have the dessert then, Matt.
The dessert. So it's multiple things. It's got 3 quick fire questions.
Who's it from?
Who's it from? Dave.
Dave.
So Dave has sent us 3 quick fire questions. I don't know if they're to me or to you or to both. How are we going to split this up?
Oh, let's just see how we get on.
Right. If you were a vegetable, which would you be and why? And please don't say cabbage just to be humble. Right. I think I'd be a beetroot.
A beetroot?
Yeah.
Why would you be a beetroot?
Well, I like beetroot.
That's it? That's all you've got? It's like the earthy, peaty smell.
Earthy, love it. Like a nice peaty whiskey. Earthy, they're very tasty, they're very versatile. Beetroot's one of those things, I think, like, because obviously things that are harder to grow or scarce or whatever demand a more premium price. Beetroot, bloody cheap. They're actually, if beetroots were hard to grow, put beetroot and asparagus next to each other, right? Asparagus is lovely, all the rest of it, but it's really expensive because of how the growing process, everything else. But if asparagus grew really easily and beetroot was really hard to grow, and if beetroot was asparagus price and asparagus was beetroot price, then everyone would be like, oh God, beetroot's the best thing or whatever.
Right,
people only go on what the price is. It's a bit like fish, isn't it? Like, I love mackerel. Mackerel is an absolute banging fish. It's one of the cheapest fish around. But if you get fresh, super fresh mackerel, can't beat it, really.
No, mackerel is absolutely stunning. To be fair with beetroot, even better part of it is that almost all of it is usable. after you've peeled it, because
And it's really bloody annoying because it, much like me, it will just irritate you for the rest of the day because it will just be there. You've got it on everything. Beetroot juice.
it lasts ages.
Exactly.
And it's very versatile. Whereas like a calabrese, broccoli, half it goes in the bin.
Yeah. Although, I mean, that's not to say that beetroot is my favourite vegetable. I just think
What's your more? You're answering the question.
if I was a vegetable, what would I be? I'd be a beetroot. Why would I be a beetroot? Because underrated. Because I mean, you know, I've got a low self-opinion. I don't.
Of course you
blow
have.
smoke up my own ass. And it stains your hands. It gets everywhere. And it's really bloody annoying.
But you can't get rid of it.
Exactly.
Well, I would be a parsnip. I was just thinking about this.
Right.
Parsnip. Rather rough, bland looking. Nothing standing out from the crowd, exactly. Very white, extremely white. But actually, very, very unusually sweet at the core. I reckon that sweet and very, very warm.
Very bloody hard at the core. You mean when it's gone to seed and it's that woody bit in the middle?
Yeah, and then the hollow core.
Yeah.
And then caramelizes nicely in the right environment.
Lovely.
That is the most corniest thing I've ever said in my life.
Pretty bad, isn't it? Right, second one. What's the worst kitchen gadget you ever bought? And did you actually use it to make something edible or just have it as an ornament?
Well, I think there's one piece of kit that we can both agree on this.
Right.
This removes the moisture from it.
Ah, the dehydrator.
You got it straight away.
Yeah, I like a dehydrator. The thing I find amusing with a dehydrator is the fact that nobody ever... People think about, I've got a dehydrator and they're going to do something with it. And then you start doing something with it and then it's always missing a part or it's broken or the doors were smacked or something. And then you put it on and then you leave on your prep list to the person tomorrow, I've made some garnishes in the dehydrator and they whatever, and they don't pay any attention to it.
There's always something in there, isn't it?
Or the bar person who's got nothing better to do is like, I've made all these nice things, I'm going to dehydrate them as a cocktail. Yes. You know you need some sort of level of understanding as to what's going to happen here. You can't just chuck random things.
Yeah, they just paint it with the sugar syrup and then they put them in their shells, these slices of lemons and stuff and oranges, and they'll just put them in the dehydrator and the magic happens now. I just walk away. Yeah.
Or they do those little fruit leathers that are then just chewy and stick to your teeth and terrible and just give me the fruit in the first place. Or you have what I had many moons ago where I was the dehydrator, and I don't think it was the hotel's dehydrator. I think this belonged to the individual who shall remain nameless. Right. But I was in the office. There was a smell there was a bit of a smell in the office. And
right. Yeah,
if I remember this one.
Yeah.
I was like,
this is going to let me off with the postal van thing. This is worse.
Nothing to do with me. But it turned out that one of the chefs that was working with us at the time, his better half had recently given birth to their firstborn, and he was dehydrating the placenta in the dehydrator.
Oh, that is so grim, isn't it?
To be fair, I did it as well with Alice's.
Oh, you're just weird.
But
You're a cannibal.
I did it at home, though. I didn't do it in the workplace.
Why would you even eat your own, your missus' insides? It's the most disgusting.
Because if you look into it, the health benefits are... most animals do it.
Go for a run.
Most animals do it.
You're not an animal.
So I am.
You're not like them.
Why not?
You don't beg me for food.
Look, do another
you
coffee
don't run off with a bonio in your mouth.
I mean, that's all I get offered when I come in. Coffee if I'm lucky. Yes, that was quite unpleasant.
That's disgusting. It stunk.
Well, see, I'm now questioning whether it was that happened and it was unpleasant. But I think the worst thing that happened was that the same chef, that we had some people coming in who were on this really weird faddy diet, and it was a raw food diet.
Right.
And the same chef had found a recipe online for doing a raw food pizza. And it was basically you blitz up cauliflower and then you put cauliflower with a bit of water. So it was basically a very wet, raw cauliflower puree. Right. You then spread on a sheet and then you dehydrated it as a round base. So it came out like a thin, crispy pizza base. Well, not pizza base, but a thin, crispy disc of cauliflower puree.
Right.
It was raw. So it had that acrid, bitter, horrible taste. And then you made a raw topping and stuff to go on it. And that smelled even worse. That was like just, well, you can imagine rotting cauliflower, that dehydrating cauliflower in an office.
So raw food diet, they can still blitz things up chop them down and all
Yeah,
that.
there's just no cooking because it was...
Why? Why raw food? What does it do? Do you not get as many nutrients from cooked stuff? If I eat a carrot raw to a carrot that's been boiled,
Yeah, you get more out of the raw one.
so that's the reason.
Yeah.
Why don't they just exercise more?
Because they've got lots of money and they've spoken to a dietitian and they've told them that this will make them healthier or better or whatever.
Those dietitians and all those people, they're just con jobs. Because you imagine it, they say, oh no, you've got a really good diet at the moment and that's that. And they're going to get paid.
No.
So they're going to come up with these stupid ideas, cauliflower blitzed pizza base. I was like, why would you do that? I suppose they're just bored, aren't they?
Yeah. So I think as Kitchen Gadgets go, the
Really bitter
dehydrator.
tonight.
You are. Yeah.
That knife crime really annoyed me.
That's because you're still annoyed about the fact that you were late with the podcast last week.
I am really
I can't think of any
annoyed
other
by
use. When we started working at the restaurant in Truro, they had about 6 rice cookers on top of the walk-in fridge. Don't you remember that? There was a whole line of rice cookers.
What do they look like? They look like slow cookers.
Yeah, little sort of plasticky devices that are designed for cooking rice. Because it was an Asian-themed restaurant before we took over.
Why don't you just boil it?
Well, you do ask.
Oh, I suppose that question's been asked many times.
Something like that. All right, last question on the email from Dave. If you could have a cook-off with any historical figure, who would it be and what dish would you challenge them to make? I would... No, I wouldn't. Classic historical figures, or any historical figure. So if historical figure... If it was anything non-food related, I'd probably go something musical because I'd want to... Beethoven. I'd love to meet Beethoven and chat to him, but he probably wasn't much of a chef. So I think I would choose Rick Mayall because he is
Oh, yeah, he's great.
a demigod
Was great.
and he's no longer with us. And I'd probably pick through any episodes of anything that he was ever in that involved any food, and I'd ask him to make that just so I could get him to reenact this. The classic... You're not going to remember it. The classic scene from The Young Ones with the lentils that Neil's made him a lentil stew for his dinner.
Right.
No, these lentils, South Africa. Oh, you bastard, fascist. Or there's the lamb biryani when 4 men in a car when he throws up the lamb biryani in the back.
Oh, yeah,
Solid
yeah.
Gold Hits is going on. So I think the cook-off would be with the historical figure that is Rick Mayall. And what would I challenge him to make? Anything that features in any episode of anything that Rick Mayall was in.
Mine would be quite easy, but I couldn't pinpoint a name for you because I would love to go back to the medieval times when they had those big banquets and big feasts for Henry VIII or whatever, and how they did all the cooking back then. And because when I did that medieval night years ago, I did a lot of research into old recipes, old styles of cooking, and sugar was used as a seasoning. Like you would salt and pepper. It sort of is now in the kitchens, but not at home. Whereas they would use sugar as seasoning. Hot chocolate was a savoury drink. They didn't put sugar in it. It was just quite interesting. And there's so many different sauces that they're very vinegary sauces that they would use back then. And I'd like to see how they managed to get out a big banquet in a kitchen, what that kitchen looked like, how they managed to bring it all together, what the chefs were like, scullery maids or whatever they're called, what they were like and how they brought together a big feast at once with the equipment that they had at the time. I'd find that really interesting.
Yeah, fair enough. Or Escoffier would be a good one. I mean, he is widely regarded as the godfather, the birthplace of cooking as an art form, as a whatever. And there's so many recipes that you can trace back, which are like Escoffier's based. So it'd be interesting to talk to you about what was what. But yeah, I think that's my answer to it. And then that was the end of the email, so there's not much else on it.
All right.
We still need to get to the cheese course, and we still haven't got to it yet, but we are going to get to the cheese course at some point because we need to create this whole... So the plan is the cheese course, the cheese board, music, because we haven't even touched on music yet in kitchens.
And it's a big thing.
It's a huge thing.
And it's a dividing thing.
Oh, you should have been there this morning. God, he was kicking right off.
Were you playing hardstyle and techno again?
Yeah. But the other day we had the whole of Les Mis, the full 3 hours of Les Mis in the morning. He didn't like that. Then, when he got into work this morning, I started off with an Oasis playlist because it turns out the new waitress used to sing in a band and she used to sing the Oasis hits. So I put that on and she didn't sing a single bloody note because she gets shy apparently, which is a tricky one if you're in a band. then for some reason my phone went from Oasis to System of a Down, which was fine by me, but was probably a little bit rough for a few people's day.
Yeah.
And then when ads got in, we went back to the top 100 rave tracks of all time, which didn't go down very well either.
Mine's just overplayed stuff, isn't it? The 80s and 90s stuff.
Well, yeah, but it's a very good mood leveler, isn't it, in the kitchen?
Yeah, so the cheese board, we will eventually get to it too. Now I find out the non-existent season 2, but I'm sure that when the episodes come up, we will get the cheese board going. We're going to rate them between
Ricotta and Stinking Bishop.
Okay, yeah, that's not a bad shout. Yeah, it's a bit easier than mild cheddar to that worm-infested blue cheese. Yeah, how cheesy are they? How do we rate it? By stench of cheese.
The only real problem with doing the whole cheese board situation is just the fact that we get sued by YouTube or someone if we put it up.
We'll have to sing it.
That's a good shout. Why didn't we think of that sooner?
I'll play the music on my keyboard, and then we'll have
shooting stars.
That's YouTube censorship. Yeah. Okay, so we'll have to sing it. Or you'll have to sing it, and I'll play the melodies on the keyboard.
This sounds like my stag do all over again.
And I'll get a drum machine here. We're going to invest. We're going to put some investment.
We can get the legend that is
Casio keyboard.
We'll get the legend that is Francesco Cromaldi over here with his little drum kit.
Yeah,
did I ever tell you
little Italian?
Did I ever tell you the time that he was late? I think he was late for work. There was somebody had come to the hotel to meet me to discuss. He was doing a college course or something. He had to sign some paperwork. And I said, he's off today, but I think he's in because he lived in the staff accommodation. I'll go knock on his door. So I wander over to the staff accommodation, go to his door, knock. So, Frankie. And all I can hear is strange noises. Knock a bit louder.
I mean, most people would have walked away by that point, but you carried on.
I was stood here with the college person outside the guy's bedroom door. And so I was like, it's going to be awkward now. So then
you want to be the parent that walks in on the child that's in their teens. Let's just say no more.
Well, he was in his teens. But I then banged on the door quite loudly because I was like, Frankie, bang, 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 bang. And then I hear a bit of a kerfuffle and the door opens. And he's got this really cute little electric drum machine. So he's got these little sticks and these little drum pads. Right. He's sat in there with his headphones on and he was just drumming along to whatever, Metallica or Avenged Sevenfold or whatever he's listening to at the time. But it sounded so dodgy. And I was stood outside the door with this bloody teacher. He's just like, oh yeah, he's a good lad. He's just in his room here. And he's just
that going to be more awkward.
I was like, oh, this is Frankie. And comes out and he's just doing a little bit of drumming.
Well, actually, I'd like to ask the audience to write in on this one, whether I'm right or he's right, because we're speaking about that particular guy. Now, he had an electric drum kit, with the hexagon pads.
Yep, that was one.
Full setup. And I was living up in Launceston at the time, and he said, I've got this broken drum kit. I was like, I might be able to fix that up. Simple design. I'll have a look at it. And he goes, well, if you can get it working, you can have it. I was like, okay, fine, I'll take it. So I took it up, set it up, and he must have hit one of the pads too. It wasn't easy. It was just a little wire hanging out. So I soldered that back in. Works great. I thought, brilliant. Played around for a bit. I thought, I'm not going to need it. Sell it. So I sold it and made 130 quid out of it. He went absolutely ballistic. I'd robbed him. I'd ripped him off. I'm like, you gave me a drum kit for free because it was broken. I'm not really gaining from that. In fact, I'm taking your junk. I fixed it, sold it after a while, a couple of weeks when I got bored of it and realized that this is crap. He went ballistic. So write in, was I right or was he in the right? Should I have given him some money, but then I already had it off him? It was no longer his. He didn't own it. That's such a typical thing for me to do.
So tight, honestly.
So you're siding with him?
Well, I think you could have got in touch with him and said, by the way, good news, I fixed the drum kit. It's quite good fun. Oh, great, I'll have it back.
All right. So if I gave you a wreck of a car, by the way, the engine's blown up, you fixed
the engine's blown up. You said it was one loose cable.
But he didn't know that.
No, but you fixed it.
I confess that.
You could have given it back. You could have said, look, I fixed this thing. And he might have gone, oh, that's so kind of you. He might have given you £200. He might have said, thanks so much.
You're a tight Italian. You're going to give me that.
No, true. Here, have a Fiat Multipla. But he might have said,
keep the multiplier.
Thanks for fixing it. I'm forever in your debt. Here's a bottle of Pinot Noir.
All right. Well, I'd like to hear from the audience. Is Scott a bastard, or is the Italian overreacting
and irrational?
No need to have a go at me for anything I've said during this podcast, because no doubt I'll be apologising after I've edited this. Apologising in the next podcast, no doubt. I seem to be apologising everyone. I'm sorry. I need a podium at this point.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that covers it well. Anyway.
All right. We're so that brings us to the end.
That brings us to the end of another eventful podcast.
Don't forget to write in lettersforcheckon@hotmail.com.
Wow, he's learned it.
I've been
8 episodes in.
Yeah.
Finally learned the name of the bloody email address. Yes, right. That's it for me. Good night. Catch you soon. This will be up by Sunday.
Absolutely, I promise. All right. Good night.
Cheerio. Oh, wait. One more thing. Right. Sorry. Before we go. The other day, last week, before Sunday, after Sunday, whenever you bother, tips, the tip conversation. We had the whole tip conversation. Things you'd never seen before, tips, weirdness. I don't think I told you this, but just as you think it can't get any more strange, you can't get any more weird shit with tips. I got an email the other day from the place where we've been temping to say, can you let me know the breakdown of hours that the guys did last month because they want to send us across our tips.
Agencies never get tips.
I know, right? So now I'm like, I don't know. I'm blown away, to be honest. So you're giving agency chefs the tips. I don't like when I say that the tips should be shared out fairly. Maybe they'd already heard this episode before it went live, but like,
well, hang on a minute. The agency chefs are paid a normal, an average wage.
Yeah,
they're not getting everything that the hotel is paying out because the agency itself is getting that.
Yeah,
so it's chefs doing a job and doing it as well as they can. Should they not get the tips?
I don't know.
Why shouldn't an agency chef get the tips?
Or do all? I mean, I've never worked anywhere where we've paid the agency chefs tips, but maybe some places do. And then if that was a different agency, let's say a well-established large Cornish staffing agency.
You nearly put the name in.
Yeah, if they were there and there's places saying to them, "Here's all your tips," then do they even tell the chefs that they get tips?
I don't think that they do it.
Or do they just...
I've never heard of agency chefs getting tips ever. In fact, they usually complain about it. But when you think about it, they help produce that food for that night. They should get it.
Yeah. But do the other staffing agencies potentially?
If you're an agency chef, write in lettersforcheckon@hotmail.com. God, I'm good at that now.
Have you ever received a tip as an agency chef? And by a tip, I don't mean about how you're dressed. I mean the financial repercussion for your great work. But yeah, I just thought I'd throw it in because I'd slipped my mind. I wanted to add it on as an appendage for last week.
All right, it's a late check on. But
it's what happens. You think you've finished a check, you think you've cleared down, and then somebody walks in and forgets, table 12, haven't ordered their dessert. Yeah, anyway.
All right, late check on.
Going now.
Service, please.
Cheers and bye.